I'm Cheng Thom, and you're watching Ask Kai, Quick Tips for the Apocalypse, a series of short videos in which I answer questions, all kinds of questions. Questions about romance, questions about scissoring, questions about sex and love and joy. Am I qualified to answer these questions? Probably, but regardless, I hope you will be entertained by my answers. So today's question, dear ones, is how can I start sexting with someone without being presumptuous or off-putting? And anytime I hear a question that's like, how can I ask someone? How can I get into it? I just want to praise the heck out of that because that sounds like consent to me. We're like, oh, is this other person going to be off-put? Are they into what I'm doing? Are they not into what I'm doing? Are they into it? Are they out of it? I don't know. So this is good. We always want to start with this question, right? Like, what do I want? Does the other person want it also? And, you know, a lot of the questions I get about sex are like, how can I start such and such activity? And I always just like sort of want to say, like, again, there's no magic formula. Basically, you just have to ask, right? And it's sort of like straight up, like, may I start sexting with you? It's basically the way to do it. I wouldn't worry too much about awkwardness or like the perfect phrasing because there really isn't perfect phrasing. And let's just be real. Sex is very awkward. Like it's just this awkward thing. There's a body. We have bodies. We've got fluids. The fluids leak. Like that's awkward, but it's also kind of hot. So we just got to like kind of go with it. It's better to ask, you know, in a clear way than it is to ask in a vague way that you think is more graceful because with clear questions, you tend to get clearer answers. And then we're always just sort of like asking ourselves, like, is this person I'm about to ask to sex me like the right person? So again, like consenting, age appropriate. Are you their boss? If you're their boss, don't ask them to sext you. Okay. You know, we just want to look for those hallmarks of consent. I'm also like a big fan of like a straight up like, would you like to receive some photos from me? Like, you want me to send you some pics? Would you be into trading photos or would you be into trading sexy texts? Like, you can just ask straight up. Again, I'm a proponent of the clearer the better so that you can get clearer answers, right? And if you're waiting until it's someone, if you're waiting to ask someone who is already in some sort of intimate situation with you, the more likely you are to be guaranteed of a positive or at least a polite answer, you know? And so once you've asked, then, you know, I always like to think of that initial phase as sort of testing the waters, even if they've said yes, like you're sort of wanting to get a sense of like what's hot for them. And this is where people sort of tend to lose the thread, I think, like, you know, I mean, the first place where people lose the thread is they're like, I'm just going to send some photos of my genitals to you, regardless of what you think, right? Don't do that. I would just say don't. So that's where people start to lose themselves, first of all. But then also they lose themselves when someone has said yes in some way to sexting, and then they're like, rah! And, you know, I once had this sex education teacher who liked to make these Cookie Monster noises when she was talking about arousal. She'd be like, rah, 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 rah. And I'm like, yeah, like, when we feel the Cookie Monster of sex arise within us, and it's like, I'm going to do this, like, that's where we're sort of in danger of being like, my fantasy, I'm going to impose that on this other person because they've already said yes. And we just want to watch out for that, right? When you hear the Cookie Monster sounds in your head, you just kind of want to be like, okay, hang on, Cookie Monster. Like, is this other person into the same cookies? This metaphor is breaking down. But basically, you kind of want to be like sort of delicate with the texts or pictures that you send someone because you're sort of feeling it out, like, what are they into? And you can just ask them straight out, like, what would be hot for you to receive? That's a good way. Sometimes people don't know, so I wouldn't necessarily expect the clearest answer to that question. Sometimes we have very specific answers and sometimes we won't. But you're just sort of feeling it out, right? I really like it when people ask questions like, are you into that? Like, oh yeah, that turns you on. Like these sort of sexy little questions that are also checking, right? Like, oh yeah, that turns you on, baby, is like, that's sort of like keeping the dynamic. But it's also like, are you into this? And again, I would worry first about clarity before worrying about like maintaining any kind of like, ooh, sexy dynamic, because the sexiest dynamic is consent. And so if you're like not sure, like, 'cause sometimes saying things like, yeah, baby, you like that, don't you? Like, that's hot, but also sometimes people feel pressure to say yes. So again, always worry about clarity. Like, I would just say straight up, did you like that? Or I can send you something else, right? Like, you give people other options. That's kind of nice too. But love it. Thanks so much for your questions, folks. That's it for today. You've been watching Ask Kai, Quick Tips for the Apocalypse. I'm Kai Cheng Thom. Stay safe, wash your hands, always check for consent. Gosh, love ya.